Yeah, I'm down to start. Let me pull it up.
In Apollo.
In Apollo. I just want to say that I apologize for the late uploads. I've been sick.
He's been sick of your shit.
I've been sick of the viewers and the listeners. They're all just
You guys don't deserve any of this content.
for free. You're getting all this for free. If you guys want us to have a Patreon with feet pics, we can do that, but you're gonna have to want it.
Welcome back to the Thought Void podcast.
What it do?
We're coming at you live today on this beautiful 4th of July. I am
Happy
Vance
fourth.
Miller, and that is my boy Esdin.
Hey,
And we are so patriotic that we are going back to the gateway process straight from the CIA website. So, what's better than reading a government form on the 4th of July?
it's fitting. It's very patriotic. I think, digging up the government's old experiments and tests and consensuses and stuff on this auspicious day, feels right.
It is right. It is. And we left off last time on biofeedback. So we talked about how
Yes.
right brain and left brain, you could turn off one of the sides and basically use mind control. So much
Yeah.
crazy shit that none of us really understand, but we're just going to pretend like we do. And we're just going to pick right up at bullet point 4, biofeedback.
This is a part two, but if you haven't listened to the part one, go check that out before this, because I feel like that would probably help you understand what's going on.
Yeah, if you're just jumping around, this is going to get real. This is going to break your brain. So I
This is gonna hurt.
suggest listening to part 1 first.
I feel like this is an episode that you either have to be extremely high or totally sober for.
We have to be totally sober to read this. Otherwise, nothing's going to
Otherwise,
happen.
nothing's gonna happen.
So without further ado, let's just dive right into the deep end, back into this.
I don't have any floaties, so if I start drowning,
If you
you're
start,
gonna need to
we're
save
both
me.
going to drown. We're going down together with this.
All right, that's fine.
So, biofeedback starts by saying the third consciousness altering methodology, which will be briefly described, is biofeedback. Biofeedback is somewhat unique in that it actually employs the self cognitive powers of the left hemisphere to gain access to such areas of the right brain as the lower cerebral, motor, and sensory cortices and assorted pain or pleasure centers.
Dude, what the fuck was
Yeah.
that?
Yep. Yeah. So again, if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, go back.
Um, okay, let's try to break this down. So if I remember correctly, like the left side of the brain is kind of like the filter that like tells the right brain what to do, and then when you're hypnotized or do like really intense meditation, it like dulls that so you can access that like purer consciousness or whatever, or
Yeah.
unfiltered consciousness of the right brain, right?
You're basically reaching ohm.
Yes, I remember this. Biofeedback is somewhat unique, and so biofeedback uses because so it's like the opposite of hypnosis. So like this uses the left brain to get to the right brain, where hypnosis just turns the left brain off.
Correct. Hypnosis is just shutting it down,
Yes,
making thought slaves.
let's go.
All right, so as Esdin just said, instead of suppressing the left hemisphere as is done in hypnosis or largely bypassing, ignoring it as done in transcendental meditation, so biofeedback teaches the left hemisphere to first visualize the desired result and then to recognize the feeling associated with the experience of successful right hemisphere access to the specific lower cerebral cortex or pain or pleasure or other areas in the manner needed to produce the desired result. So
That doesn't. I have no
this
idea what that just said.
this is so hard. Special self-monitoring devices such as the digital thermometer are used to inform the left brain when it succeeds in keying the right hemisphere into accessing the appropriate area. Once this is done, the left brain can then repeatedly instruct the right brain to reestablish the pathway involved so as to produce the same external objective measures of success. In this way, the pathways are strengthened and emphasized to such an extent that the left brain consciousness is enabled to access appropriate areas in the right brain using a conscious demand mode. Interesting.
Whoa.
So we can like force ourselves into like different settings,
Yeah.
different
Okay.
modes. Like a camera can be like automatic,
And
manual,
manual, and then it has
film.
like presets and stuff.
Yeah, like you can do that.
Whoa. With
I
your
mean,
brain.
your brain is really a computer if you
I
think
mean,
about
yeah,
it.
if you think about it, you just have to set the settings properly.
It's literally a supercomputer. So if you want to do different things, you have to figure out how to access certain settings.
And then like through this biofeedback, it's just by like using the left side of the brain to basically tell the right side of the brain what to do and what to visualize, right? So what would be like, I know like we're getting to that point, but like what is the point of that? Isn't that kind of just like how any idea works?
Right? Isn't that just how like the brain works?
Or isn't that just how the brain
Isn't that just how it's supposed to be?
What I thought was interesting though was the part about the thermometer thing. Self-monitoring devices such as a digital thermometer are used to inform the left brain when it succeeds in keying in the right hemisphere into accessing the appropriate area. How do you use a thermometer to
I don't know. I,
like how the fuck does that work?
I don't know where the whole thermometer thing comes from, but I really don't understand what that means.
I heard somewhere that when you fall asleep, your brain actually has to cool itself like 2 or 3 degrees in order to fully fall asleep. So
Really?
maybe Yeah. So maybe that's why it's easier to fall asleep when it's cold.
Oh, instead
Um,
of like roasting.
yeah. So I wonder if because kind of like meditation, maybe you have to like relax to a certain point to where you can ignore that left side of your brain. That maybe like through this, the brain has a cool itself, and then once it gets to a certain degrees, it's like, oh, you did it. Maybe I don't.
You
This one
did
doesn't make sense to me.
it!
Yay! Woohoo!
Yay! Woo!
I get what they mean by like biofeedback, I guess, because like you're using your own brain to tell you when you've done it. But like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they have an example here. So
Let's
hopefully,
go.
maybe this will put us in the right direction. So, for
I think it's gonna
example,
cure autism.
we we are trailblazers.
Yeah.
For example, if the subject wishes to increase the circulation in the left leg in order to speed up healing, he may concentrate with his left brain on achieving that result while carefully monitoring a digital thermometer connected to that left leg. So I wonder if you were connected to machines and all this stuff and you thought hard enough and long enough, if you
Hmm.
could actually see a result, like you forcing your body to do something, like heal. Like if you're just putting all your energy into like healing, and I wonder if it actually speeds it up by like a fraction of a day or an hour. You know what I mean?
Well, this kind of ties into some like Eastern philosophical stuff when it comes to like your mind and meditation and stuff. And I saw this documentary a while ago about these monks who I can't remember what it was called, but these monks would go up into like some kind of mountain range and have like competitions or some shit. They would all sit in the snow covered in wet towels and
Oh God.
meditate, and then they would eventually be able to heat their bodies to a point where the towels would dry
Whoa.
and be warm. Then also, like it's said, you probably find some study, but like people who have cancer and are dying but have a positive outlook are more likely to survive their treatment than those who don't.
Because they're not like their body isn't being told like you're not going to make
Yeah,
it. Your brain is
exactly.
like, no, we're going to be fine. It's chill.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna be fine. And it's like I'm 100% under the belief that like I mean in like a small example, it's like if you tell yourself you're gonna feel like dog shit all day, you're gonna feel like dog shit all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you like if you wake up and automatically have like a poor mindset for the day, you're
Yeah,
basically just dooming yourself.
100%. I mean, shit, dude. With like health and stuff, I feel like I could give myself a heart attack. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I've made myself so anxious at points where it's like you borderline start to have like spasms and it's like all
Yeah.
right, chill out, chill out.
It's like I need to relax. The mind is so powerful. Well, I feel like with this kind of stuff, in order to get to the point where you can just like heal yourself with your mind, like these extreme like things that we're discussing, I feel like you have to get to a certain point of mindfulness that like you're not gonna give yourself a heart attack. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if you like so you know how like you can kind of feel like a heart attack come on? I
Yeah.
wonder if you could calm and find that meditation state where you could just
Mhm.
like stop it.
Some people believe that you can do that. Um,
And then they just die.
and then they die. Well,
And they
dude,
die.
there are practices in certain cultures that like monks are have like celebrations and they do all these things to like, say goodbye, and they have like a big like festival, and then they die just by sitting down and like leaving the body with their mind. They can like just like kill themselves just by thinking about it.
You walk in, there's just a bunch of monks sitting around. You're like, "Hey, yo, what's good, guys?" And everyone just starts exploding.
Just starts
You're like,
just
"Ah!"
dying. It's like, whoa, guys, you're freaking me out.
As everyone's applauding, they did
And it's like
it!
they doing it. Yay.
Yay!
Wow.
That is
I
a
would that's what enlightenment looks like for
that's a
sure.
weird Tuesday night. So, when the concentrated effort begins to achieve success, the digital thermometer will register an increase in temperature of the left leg. At that point, the subject can mentally, with the left brain, associate the sensations experienced with the result achieved and can begin to emphasize, by memory recall, the same process to cause its strengthening by affirmation and repetition. In this way, pain can be blocked, healing can be enhanced, malignant tumors can apparently be suppressed and ultimately destroyed. The body's pleasure centers can be stimulated, and a variety of specific psychological results may be achieved. Wow.
Yo,
So there's people destroying tumors out here. The Tuminator.
the Tuminator.
It's just a
We-
monk.
we-
The
We're bringing
Tuminator.
we're bringing in the Tuminator. It's just some like really small Indian guy.
In addition, biofeedback may be used to greatly accelerate achievement of deep meditative states, particularly for beginners who have no experience in meditative techniques and whose progress in that methodology is enhanced through effect visualization and external objective affirmation. Do you have any idea what that means?
I think I wasn't really paying attention for a
I
second.
think I was just saying stuff.
But I got the whole. It seems like how like bitches really be on that like say your affirmations kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like manifest like that kind of shit. That's basically what this is saying is that like you can manifest, and if you say, you know, I'm gonna be happy enough times, your brain will eventually believe that you're happy.
You know that meme where it's like the angry face, but with the mask of like the smiling.
That's what this is.
Yeah, and there's like the tears behind it.
Exactly. It's well, think about it. It's kind of like your brain is a dog, right? And
Okay.
you have to train the dog to sit and roll over and play and fetch and all that shit. So just like the brain, you have to train your brain, the animal part of your brain, to do the things that you want it to do.
Because we all have that dog in us.
We all got that dog in
And we got to
us.
train that
And we gotta
dog to be a
train that
part
thing.
of this higher society. Got to domesticate it, bro.
You gotta domesticate your brain because, I mean, if you think about it, there are two halves, really. There's like the animalistic, like right brain that just does whatever it wants and has like random just
Impulse.
bursts, impulses and shit. And then the left brain is kind of like your logical like thinking pattern. And you have to utilize the thought process to tame and mold the right side to like, do whatever it is it's saying that you can do.
I think that makes sense. I can get behind that.
And that again ties back to like Eastern philosophies and stuff.
That is
Exactly.
interesting how our brain is separated into two halves, and they're both completely different halves and have completely different jobs, but yet they still try and they work together well enough.
You want to hear some cool shit that I just thought of?
What?
Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a tangent.
Oh God, here we go.
So, from my understanding, and don't quote me on this, but from my understanding in Hinduism, you have like your soul, right?
Okay.
And which is the you, right? And then there's this thing called Maya, which is like the illusion of the material, is like the impulsive, it's like the desire to do everything you want all the time and totally just give into it and all that. And they say that realizing that it is just Maya, and that using yourself, which is your soul, to control how you perceive it is kind of one of the pillars of it. So if you think about it in this sense, it's kind of the same thing, like saying like part of you is prone to like impulses and desires and illusionary things,
Being
where
monkey like.
being a monkey, yeah,
Yeah.
and then the other part has to kind of realize that you can control that through these processes and kind of move beyond that.
And you're saying that's like one of the big steps towards enlightenment?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to quote that. What Esdin just said is 100% accurate. Nobody can tell you different.
This is I am 100% a bona fide spiritual master, and I know exactly how to reach enlightenment. And
You're just wearing a robe and you're bald.
I have shaved my head. I have tattoos. I know 14 different languages that aren't even around anymore.
I know everything useless.
I know everything there is to know about anything. I can actually heal myself so fast that I can grow extra limbs.
I think we have to start praying to Esdin.
I am a god. No,
This is the beginning of our cult.
This is it. The god force is just leading up to worshiping me.
The God Force needs to serve Esdin.
Oh,
That's what it is. We are here to serve our master, Esdin, the
Hello.
curly-headed beanpole.
The string cheese with hair is
Yeah,
telling me that I need
yeah,
to meditate more.
exactly. Display of the subject's brainwave pattern on a cathode ray tube has been proven to be a laboratory validated means by which subjects may quickly learn to place themselves in profoundly relaxed states, characterized by the sort of quietude and singularity of mental focus associated with advanced meditation. So, like, you can do this quickly. You can figure this out, guys. We got this. We just got to hit the grindstone. So that is the end of the biofeedback chunk. And the next step is gateway and hemisync.
Now we're
So
getting into it now.
this is, if you could somewhat understand where we have come to now, this is where you're going to lose us.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
we're going to
this
lose each
is
other.
this is gonna be the moment where we're like, yo, this doesn't make any fucking sense anymore.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get a little rambly.
Let's lock the fuck in real quick.
So, this starts by saying, now that we have briefly profiled the basic mechanics of the principal techniques for altering or expanding consciousness, which share some of the objectives and or methods employed in the gateway experience, we may now proceed to focus on what the technique actually involves.
Building off of everything we've just discussed in part one, and then all the stuff that we just discussed in biofeedback is now going to be built upon. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
This is going to make a shit mountain. We're just shitting layers until this creates some type of stinky, fly-ridden, confusing mountain. Okay.
I like how we went from like, you must meditate to be enlightened to this is going to be a shit pile
This is
of
going to be a
layered
shit
poop.
show. This is, yeah.
I'm kind of scared.
I am too. I'm like actually kind of nervous about this.
This is like pushing my brain to like the maximum capacity here.
Yeah, I'm really grinding gears over here. Fundamentally, the Gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemisphere, so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside of the physical sphere to escape even the restrictions of time and space.
Bro,
Shit. Are we gonna get
Dude.
into fucking time travel?
I fucking guess so,
Can
dude.
we
Like,
surf the stars with our brains, bro?
can we like pull an interstellar with the brain?
The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers. What differentiates the Gateway experience from forms of meditation is its use of the hemisync technique, which is defined in a monograph by Monroe Institute, the place we talked about last time where we want to take a vacation.
Yes.
And it was defined by the trainer, Melissa Jagger, as a quote, state of consciousness defined by the EEG patterns of both hemispheres are simultaneously equal in the amplitude and frequency. So it's synchronization. It's literally, they're both sides of the brain are completely in sync with each other.
Yeah, like full capacity to
Full
use
brain
both.
power.
We are maxing out the settings. We
Yeah.
are the RAM of our brain is
Yeah.
on 100%.
The CPU is crying. Although hemisync seems to be rather rare and of only short duration in ordinary human consciousness, Melissa Jagger states that, quote, audio techniques developed by Bob Monroe can induce and sustain hemisync with the Institute's basic Focus 3 tapes. She also notes that studies conducted by Elmer and Alice Green at the Meneser Foundation also notes that studies conducted have shown that a subject with 20 years of training in Zen meditation could consistently establish hemisync at will, sustaining it for over 15 minutes. That's cool.
Damn.
Dr. Stuart Twemlow, a psychiatrist and research associate at the Monroe Institute, reports that, quote, in our studies of the effect of the Monroe tape system on brainwaves, we have found that the tapes encourage the focusing of brain energy. It can be measured as with a light bulb in watts. So your brain actually puts out like power into a narrower and narrower frequency band. The focusing of energy is not unlike the yoga concept of the pointedness, which we may translate in Western terms as a single mindedness. Dr. Twemlow goes on to observe that as the individual gets into tapes beyond focus 3, there is a gradual increase in brainwave size, which is a measure of brain energy power. So as you go through these focus tapes,
Whoa.
the brain waves that they're scanning are literally getting stronger and stronger. So
I
they
need
are
these.
training your brain, which is really dope. And I wonder if we can do this at the Monroe Center.
Can we just pull up? And a pull up.
Inapolo.
Let me double check up on these Monroe Institute. What was it called? Focus tapes?
Focus 3 tapes.
Wave 3 Freedom. $115.
Do they have a box set?
I fucking hope so. I mean, they've got a lot, but it's like funny because some of these are like $15 and then, Gateway Experience Wave 1 Discovery is $115. And but like if you think about it, like if this is gonna do what this government thing is saying that it's gonna do, kind of worth it.
But is it that easy? If it is, why
Well,
isn't everybody doing it?
well, that's the thing though. It's like it takes like dedication. You can't just like do it once. I mean, that's why monks like take years, like lifetimes to do it on their own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is true. You probably can't rush that kind of thing.
No, it takes so much. Well, that's why like they have like all those austerities of controlling the mind so you don't give in to everything and being sober so you can not have anything blocking the mind so that you can like fully get into it.
Right.
So,
So that brings us to lamp versus laser. This sounds like a weird court case. Lamp
yes,
versus
there's
laser.
laser.
And it's like a robot versus a lamp. So this starts by saying Melissa Jagger uses a metaphor to help clarify the process involved in the use of hemisync in the gateway experience. She points out that the human mind in its natural state may be likened to an ordinary lamp, which expends energy in the form of both heat and light, but in a chaotic, incoherent way, which diffuses energy over a wide area rather than limited depth. So
It's spread out
lamps are
everywhere.
chaos.
Lamps are bad.
On the other hand, the human mind, under the discipline of hemisync, acts after the fashion of a laser beam, which produces a disciplined stream of light. The stream of energy is projected with a total coherence of both frequency and amplitude, such that the surface area of the laser beam contains billions of times the concentrated energy found in a similar surface on the sun. Jesus. Okay.
Damn.
Gateway assumes that once the frequency and amplitude of the human brain are rendered coherent, it is possible to begin accelerating both so that the human mind is soon resonating at whatever higher vibrational levels. And that's the ohm.
That's Ohm, yeah.
Wow. I like how all this like really does link together. The more you read, I feel like it's actually getting a little easier to understand.
Yeah, it's like I can follow a little better. What I think is crazy, I don't want to be that guy, but I keep referring to it. Like this is so Eastern philosophy type shit. If you think about it, like I mean, how old those texts are who are saying like pretty much the same thing. Come on.
Do you think they discovered it and now we're just using it? You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
yeah.
did we kind of take this from them?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like they probably read up on it and then they were like, how do we improve this and make it faster so we don't have to spend like, decades of our lives doing this. And then with them discovering it, I mean, maybe they discovered it because they had nothing else to do and they just sat, but then also people were like, well, I mean, if you take Buddhism, right? The Buddha went out and did like a bunch of austerities and like lived in the woods and just meditated until he found the answer to enlightenment. And then Like some people believe that God came down and said these things, and they say some people believe that the Buddha was an incarnation of God, and it's like it has all very spiritual roots, you know?
Yeah, and if you think about it, like all this stuff was discovered so long
Hmm.
ago. I wonder if that's where a lot of religious, I guess, peoples, like
Hmm.
gods, come from, is these people, like the first trailblazers, I guess, who have achieved
Yeah.
this enlightenment, and people looked at them as a higher being.
No, totally.
Not necessarily an actual god from the heavens, but just like they just were able to get to that next step of being that much closer
Yeah.
to the universe.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
Just
I could
wise
totally see
people.
that. I feel like people kind of have this weird, not to say that I don't believe in God or whatever, but I feel like people have this weird desire to like deify other human beings
Yeah,
for some reason.
yeah.
And I feel like maybe, I mean, that definitely is possible that they did that, that like, I mean, like I just said, like the Buddha, some people say he was just a dude who is enlightened, but then other people believe that he is an incarnation of God. So that's like a prime example of that happening.
Yeah, right,
Um,
exactly. They're like, wow, Buddha Joe over here is
the
really
Buddha
humming, and
Joe.
I think I saw him levitate a few times.
I think he's picking up shit with his mind over here.
Is
I can
that
feel this laser beam.
Jesus?
So, okay, you obviously need to like focus pretty heavily for this kind of shit, to focus your lamp into a laser, for lack of better words. So, in today's society, there are so many distractions, right? Our phones and computers and the internet, and then like anything that we're consuming that's not good for your brain. Back in like way, way back, I mean, the biggest distraction was fucking taking care of the cows and breathing.
Right.
You
Like
know what I'm saying?
well, just because like back then they were just concerned about surviving. That was their
Yeah.
main objective. It wasn't like, oh, I need to post on Instagram today or we got to get this podcast episode up. They didn't
Hmm.
have to worry about that. They could just sit there and meditate without their phone all of a sudden getting a phone call and being taken out of it.
Exactly. And like it's crazy because even now if I leave my phone away from me, I'm still like, well, what if someone needs to get a hold of me?
I know. I'm like, what if
Mhm.
Esdin texts me for
Yeah,
something? Like, I need
exactly.
to
Like
know.
what if Vance tries to call me for something about the podcast or whatever? And it's like back then it's like, well, if Vance needed to tell me something, he'll have to ride his donkey over here and find me in the pasture somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd be riding like a pig up to the mountains and you're just like levitating and I'm like,
mm,
Esdin just fall to the ground. You're all pissed
like
off.
what? We got to do a podcast episode.
So this goes on to say the mind can then bring itself into synchronization with more sophisticated and rarefied energy levels in the universe. The mind, when operating at these increasingly rarefied levels, is assumed to be capable of processing the information thus received through the same fundamental matrix by which it makes sense of the ordinary physical sensory input to achieve meaning and cognitive context.
All right, what?
Yeah. If you just want to skim through that again, just to kind of,
Okay, so I think what it's saying, what do you think it's saying?
I think it's just saying it can bring itself into synchronization with the universe. Because if you just read that first sentence, the mind
Yeah,
can then bring itself into synchronization with more sophisticated and rarefied energy levels in the universe. I think that whole thing just goes to say, just that one sentence would have probably done.
probably. There's got to be like a tip top one, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
of course. I mean, there's definitely more levels, to this.
I wonder how
This
high the levels go.
I don't
How
know because this next one is
how far
7.
down? Oh, there's 7?
We're about to get into 7 after this next
Oh
sentence.
shit. Okay, yeah, yeah.
So to wrap this paragraph up, such meaning is usually perceived visually in the form of symbols, but may also be perceived as astonishing flashes of holistic intuition or even form of scenarios involving both visual and auroral perception. With the whole things of like symbols and shit popping in your head, I feel like you hear about that with alien abduction, like symbols and numbers and
People find that shit with like different psychedelics and shit too.
yeah, it's because I mean, shrooms and stuff like that are grown from the earth just get
Yeah.
you in touch with Earth's energy.
In a way, yeah. Do you think, I mean, wouldn't that imply that like maybe aliens are like just like interdimensional beings rather than like other, well, I guess they could be other life forms on other planets because, I mean, who knows?
Well, I mean, they probably are, but if you think about it, we're all in the same universe, you know? Like we're all the same
Mm,
energies are affecting all of us.
yeah. This is kind of a stretch, but you know how aliens always they always say that like aliens have like huge heads.
Right.
Maybe their brain is
They
more apt to.
they just have big brain.
They have big brain. That's it. They just have big brain.
So, all that being said, this now brings us to frequency following response. Okay, so
Yes.
to achieve synchronization of the brain hemispheres, the hemisync technique takes advantage of a phenomenon known as the frequency following response, aka the FFR, which means that if a subject hears a sound produced at a frequency which emulates one of those associated with the operation of the human brain, the brain will try to mimic the same frequency pattern by adjusting its brainwave output. So
Thought.
certain frequencies can get you juiced up, man.
Well, dude, that's oh my goodness. Okay. So there, okay, almost a lot of major religions in the world have like like chanting of some kind. Like Catholicism has like the rosary, right?
Yeah.
And like in Hinduism, there's so many different mantras that you can chant, and like Buddhism, the same thing, and yada yada. If you can produce the frequency with your mouth that you want your brain to connect with and match, that's why they say that like if you chant like the holy names, that it's the frequency of God, your brain will match that frequency of the divine.
You just open your mouth and it's like a completely unhuman noise, just like a
Just
car
like
horn.
it's like a siren goes off, but it's just like
Yeah.
super inhuman. It's like a tornado siren.
Doo, doo, doo.
But you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they all have their ways, like all these different religions or lifestyles all have different ways of reaching or trying to reach this point, whether it's saying, Om, as we keep referencing, or like you
Mhm.
said, chanting.
Yeah.
So it goes on to say, therefore, if a subject is in a fully awake state but hears sound frequencies which approximate brainwave output at the theta level, the subject's brain will endeavor to alter its brainwave pattern from the normal beta to the theta level. So your brain just automatically flips a switch if it hears a
Mm,
certain frequency.
got you.
And then, since the theta level is associated with sleep, the subject concerned may progress from a fully awake to a sleep state, provided that he does not consciously resist, as the brain strives to entertain its wave frequency output with the one which the person hears. Since these brainwave frequencies are outside the spectrum of sounds which can be heard in pure form by the human ear, hemisync must produce them based on another phenomenon known as the brain's capacity for deducing beat frequencies. What is a beat frequency? I think
I don't know.
let's hope it says what it is.
I know, because if not, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, I'm going to lose my brain. If the human brain is exposed to one frequency in the left ear, which is 10 hertz below another audible frequency played in the right ear, rather than hearing either of the two audible frequencies, the brain chooses to hear the difference between them, the beat frequency. Thus, unveiling itself to the FFR phenomenon and using the technique of beat frequencies, the gateway system uses hemisync and other audio techniques employing the FFR phenomenon to introduce a variety of frequencies which are played at a virtually subliminal, marginally audible level.
That's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
That's
So
really
your
cool.
so your brain just kind of meets halfway. Is that
I
what I'm
guess
hearing?
so.
If there's
That's what
like two
I'm
different
getting out of it.
frequencies, like you just kind of hear a different frequency. That's
It's kind of
interesting.
oh, dude, it's kind of like a weird conductor. If you think about it, it's like you're just run. That's so cool to think about. So what frequencies do we have to listen to for this to like function properly? I remember it saying like last time it said something about like 3 to 4 hertz or something
Well,
like that.
yeah, this uses the example of 10 hertz, and that's it.
Below, like it didn't it say like 10 hertz below the one in the other ear or something like that?
Yeah, so if you're listening to something that's, 30 hertz, but your other ear is hearing something at 20 hertz, those combined will create a whole new frequency, I believe. It'll
You'll
make the
hear the
beat
difference,
frequency. Yeah.
which is would be 10, right?
Yeah, you'll hear that difference of 10. I
I remember
think.
I
We're
think
not
so.
scientists.
No.
The objective is to relax the left hemisphere of the brain place the physical body in a virtual sleep state, and then bring the left and right hemispheres into coherence under conditions designed to promote the production of ever higher amplitude and frequency of brainwave output. Audible and perhaps subliminal suggestions by Bob Monroe accompany the various brainwave frequencies, which are sometimes rolled in together with other sounds, such as sea surf, to mask the sound frequencies where desirable. So you could play something else over them,
Mm.
is what I'm hearing. Like you don't specifically have to just hear it, but it just has to be played. So you are like passively
So
hearing
you,
it.
so like subconsciously you're taking it
Right.
in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool.
Bro,
Okay.
bro, what
Interesting.
kind of, okay, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but what kind of frequencies we be consuming on the daily and not even know about it?
Oh, probably all of them. I mean, there's
Probably
always
every
this.
single one.
There's no such thing as actual silence.
Facts.
Silence is a
Hello,
sound.
darkness, my old
Isn't
friend.
that
They will
that's
not,
deep?
yeah. Write that, write that. I'm getting that tramp stamped.
In this way, Gateway endeavors to provide the subject with the tools by which he may alter his consciousness based on his own volition over time through the repetitive use of the tapes so as to access new categories of information not available to ordinary consciousness. So basically, we have to buy these tapes in order to get anything.
Well, if you want to do like the method of like the gateway process in the sense of like the Monroe Institute, but I believe that you could probably do it by yourself
Yeah, just you just
through
have to know what you
meditation and yoga and shit.
right.
But not like when I say yoga, I don't mean like I mean yoga, but like also not like white people yoga. I mean like what
It's like
yoga
yoga
really
yoga,
means.
like a meditation type yoga.
Yeah.
That was that, and now we are gonna read the role of resonance. However, and that then that starts by saying, however, brain coherence through entertainment to beat frequencies introduced via stereo headphones is only part of the reason why the gateway system works. It is also designed to achieve the physical quietude characteristic of deep transcendental meditative states, which brings about a complete alteration of the fundamental resonance pattern associated with the sound frequencies produced by the human body. And here we go with yoga. Zen
Mm.
or transcendental meditation, if practiced long enough, will produce a change in the sound frequency with which the human heart resonates throughout the entire body.
That is so, dude. Okay, hear me out. It is said that like right, is like the frequency of God, right? And that God is always talking about how God is in your heart. And if you can align yourself with that frequency of the divine, it is found in the heart.
Right. I feel like when they mention God, quote unquote, it's not actually God. It's just like the frequency of just the universe. I don't know, like the God frequency.
Well, I feel like the problem here, if you want to get like off on a tangent, is that people need to like change their definition of what God is.
Yeah, because I don't think God is necessarily a dude in the sky hanging around.
It's I feel like a lot of people, not this might get controversial, but a lot of people in like Western society have like this like very Judeo-Christian version of God in their mind. So whenever they hear like God, that's what they think of.
Right.
But the rest of the world has very different interpretations of what God is and what God, feels like and all that.
That's good though, because if we were all under the same thing, I feel like that would be bad if
Yeah,
everyone
I
thought
feel that.
Jesus was real. So, according to Bentov, this change in resonance results from elimination of what the medical profession calls the bifurcation echo, so that the sound of the heartbeat can move synchronously up and down the circulatory system in harmonious resonance approximately 7 times a second. Bentov
Damn.
describes the role played by the bifurcation echo as follows. When the left ventricle of the heart ejects blood, the aorta, being elastic, balloons out just beyond the valve and causes a pressure pulse to travel down along the aorta. When the pressure pulse reaches the bifurcation in the lower abdomen, part of the pressure pulse rebounds and starts traveling up to the aorta. If in the meantime the heart ejects more blood, the new pressure pulse is traveling down. These two pressure points will eventually collide somewhere along the aorta and produce an interference pattern. Ugh, that's scary. I feel like, is that how you have like heart palpitations, I wonder?
I don't know,
Like
that's
your
weird.
blood just colliding with itself like the wrong way. That I don't like that.
That's
I don't
weird.
like thinking about
I don't
that.
like I don't like thinking about my heart, dude.
We
Freaks
have
me out.
we have blood just pouring through us right now in our
Our
heart.
heart is beating.
We
It's like
we are
condensing and ugh.
we are relying on it to do its
Like
job so well.
thinking about my heart doing its thing gives me so much anxiety for some reason.
And then it starts to
Like,
speed up, and then you can hear it in your ears,
and then you can hear it, and then it's
and then
beat
you
up
start
too
getting
fast, and you
dizzy,
can't control it, and you're like, oh my God, I can feel the blood
and then you
pumping in my
start cold
chest.
sweats.
Is
Schizophrenic
is your
Joe's like, stop.
is your chest tight? Is your chest tight? You need to get it out. You gotta open it.
Is your chest tight or is your heart just swelling? By placing the body in a sleep-like state, the gateway tapes achieve the same goal as meditation in that it places the body in such a profoundly relaxed state that the bifurcation echo slowly fades away as the heart lessens the force and frequency with which it pushes blood into the aorta. So you slow your heart rate is
Yeah, like
pretty much is all that's saying.
it's a long way of saying like, hey, in order to do this, you need to like fucking relax.
Yeah, you just need to relax, bro. The result is a regular rhythmic sine wave pattern of sound which echoes throughout the body and rises up into the head in sustained resonance. The amplitude of this sine wave pattern, when measured with a sensitive seismograph type instrument, is about 3 times the average of the sound volume produced by the heart when it's operating normally. So the physical sound of the heart that like the doctor hears when he's listening
Yeah.
is 3 times less than the actual sine wave pattern that you can see in a machine. So that's kind of weird.
And it's like a subtle wave that like you need like an instrument to notice.
Yeah.
So how does this how does this matter?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how any of
I
this
think
matters.
I guess I think it relates back to like because you're like controlling the vibrations of your heart, and that's what's like this section here where it says like yoga and Zen or transcendental meditation is practiced long enough will produce a change in sound frequency in the heart, and I think by doing that changes the resonance throughout your entire body. And so he's just then explaining how the process works and then how doing this meditation thing will then let you kind of maybe like hear it or change it, I guess.
So the only thing I got out of this was the heart is stronger than it sounds.
Pretty much.
That's what I got out of this.
Yeah, this section was fucking like
mind bending.
It kind of hurts because I feel like it's a really long way to just say like some simple shit.
It is. But I mean, on the other hand, we need these examples to really
understand what's going on. Yeah. I think that was a good place to stop.
I think so too, because I'm going to blow my head off accidentally by thinking
about it too much.
I'm gonna wind up like one of those monks we were talking about. I'm just gonna explode.
You're just gonna self-combust like right now. I think we need to give the viewers a little bit of a break.
And we need a break, Esdin.
I have a headache.
I'm trying so hard to read this that knowing that we're done, I'm feeling like a wave of relaxation over my body. And be prepared, guys, because every 2 or 3 weeks we're gonna have these episodes coming out, and we probably still got like 4 episodes left. So
well, okay, let's see here. We're on what page are we on? We're on page 9 out of 30, bro.
Yeah, so we still got
at least.
Oh God, we still have a while.
We've got like maybe like 2 episodes, and that's 9 pages. So
we probably got like 6 episodes.
5 or 6 more episodes of this.
We got it, and you guys don't even have to listen, but it's gonna be there.
This is how you achieve enlightenment, guys. And if you don't want that, I don't know what to tell you. Dude, I'm scrolling through this. There's so many fucking graphs and shit. Oh my God.
Well, good. Maybe that will help the listeners on YouTube.
It doesn't.
No.
I bet you it won't.
It does not.
It looks so fucking intense. Oh my God.
But if you guys enjoyed this, listen to all of our other shit on YouTube, Spotify.
Yes.
Leave reviews, leave comments, subscribe to us.
Yes, before we go, I wanted to say something about a specific comment that we got.
Uh-oh. I didn't see this. Is it bad? Am I gonna be sad?
No, you're just gonna be like confused. So I was looking at our some analytics, and we have let's see here on the All Hail Nolan
Arbo.
video Arbow, we got a response 4 days ago. Cam said that he's ready for the Neuralink. That's all he said. And I just wanted to bring that out. But
But
yeah, thanks you guys for listening. We're sorry
yeah,
if this hurt.
we love you guys. Keep listening, keep being great, and we'll see you next week with
Yeah.
some ooky spooky murderer stuff.
We'll go from enlightenment to murder. Look at us.